self-destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning, death and hatred to mankind.
I keep forgetting when my theme song ends. I've only been doing this for like 2 years with the same song.
Same song, huh?
Yeah, and it shocks me. Like we pop up and I'm just staring at the screen like I'm ready for the show, and it's
Like, oh crap, it's
show.
done.
Wow. How are you, Jennifer Talley of New Orleans Paranormal Society?
I'm good, Brandon Cooper.
Awesome.
Getting ready for the spooky season here.
Oh my God. Like, I thought
It's
I was
almost
going to be done at the end of October, but no.
no
No, I have to go from Kansas City to South Carolina, and then I have to be in Vermont the next day
for investigations.
to film.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's just there's your sneak peek, everybody. There's a surprise coming. Brandon's filming his first episode ever.
Yay.
But I can't tell you what it is because those stupid non-disclosure forms.
I hear you. I understand. I'm going to Wisconsin in November, and basically ending investigations here, going up there to see family. And instead of taking a break for investigations, I'm looking for a place to take my family and do ghost hunts. So I'm traveling with ghost hunting equipment.
You know,
Because why not?
I mean, I always at least have one of my boxes
Yeah.
in my SUV. So, so as we always do when I start the show, we light the sage, and the reason that we light the sage is to get rid of all that negativity that comes with us, you know, from the previous week. We want to get rid of that. We want to start the week off like with really good positive vibes.
Yep.
And plus, the y'all down in New Orleans, you know, can always use extra positive vibes. 'Cause,
Yes, we can.
you know, had I just said that around Jeremy Leonard, he would have yelled at me and said it's Nolans.
New Orleans.
So
Well, there are people that end up saying New Orleans with about 6 syllables between the two words. So you did better than some.
well, you know, I did go to South Carolina public schools. So
Oh, well, there you go. You've got that Southern in you.
I did. Ooh, do I ever? We have two really, really amazing guests.
We do.
Um, First of all, let me holler at Ricky Farmer. Hey, Ricky, are you finally retired from the Army there, buddy? Because if so, congratulations on your career and thank you for your service. Oh, he's a good dude. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of me yelling and running down the street in Deadwood, South Dakota after a guy named Ricky.
No.
Okay, well, we're going to have to show you Don't Leave Me, Ricky. Um, that's going to have to happen. As a matter of fact, let me just look in my. I don't have it on here. I'll get it. I will get it for next show. But yeah, it's hilarious. So we have, and I actually printed out the bios. So I'll do one. You do one. You want to do that? Do you have it available? If not, I can read both.
I mean, I know, I kind of know them.
I was gonna say they're your friends, and this was your suggestion, and I'm super excited.
Yeah.
It's not often that I get to interview a fellow shaman on Shaman Sundays, and I love it. So I will read. Sam
All right.
is a medium, shamanic, and sound healer. Like, oh, we're going to get into sound healing because I just started researching and looking into sound healing other than the drum that I use. And it's amazing.
Sam's done work on me as well.
Well, he's got 30 years of spiritual studies, and having worked with some known psychic mediums, shamans, spiritual healers, and Native American elders, he embraces his gifts of vision, hands-on healing, which is my favorite. The hands-on healing is usually the best healing, in my humble opinion. And channeling. His work comes from compassion and unconditional love, and we're going to dive into that unconditional love thing because that seems to be a theme lately. I've heard that word unconditional love like 5 times today. So
Wow. Okay.
we'll have to see what that's about. Sam offers spiritual medium sessions, half hour minimum, and shamanic healing private sessions starting at 1 hour minimum. And we will get into the details and how he does it and where he does all that during the interview. And of course, our other guest is huge in the construction world. Like brick is everywhere.
Yeah.
My apartment is made of bricks. I have a pet brick. So I've never interviewed somebody that's so into construction. No, I'm just kidding. You want to talk a little bit about brick, which is the coolest name? Well, besides Kimmy Corpse.
When you meet him, you'll understand. It's a Brick Talbot Bishop. He was born with the gift, as they say, of second sight. They're actually having a few computer issues, so we'll just talk about them until they get connected.
Yep.
Brick tells the story when we do ghost hunts in their space, in their seance room, which is where they're sitting in now. He tells people he was actually struck by lightning when he was a child. Pretty much nonverbal before then. And he woke up after being in a coma, I think for about 7 months, and was just talking and seeing all those dead people and his grandma,
Right.
Miss Hyacinth. We don't call her grandma. We call her Miss Hyacinth. He said, honey, you just talking to some dead people. We got to work on that because some people will think you're crazy and they don't knit straight jackets and your color wheel or fabrics that will flatter you. So they come from a very long lineage of witches as well. His grandma, great grandma, they call her Grandma TikTok. Her portrait hangs in the room as well. We talk to her sometimes in in their seance room. He's a hereditary witch. His father, 3 generations of his maternal line. They taught him how to use his gifts properly. They just stuck books in front of his face and said, you're going to study it all. And he has the ability, he's a physical medium as well. And he gets a download from you when he shakes your hand. So it's kind of interesting. And he's one of the, he'll never say it probably, but I'm going to say it. He is one of the most gifted artists I have ever met.
Oh, we like art here on Shaman Sundays. Definitely.
The logo behind me was designed by him.
And you know, the first time I saw that logo, I mentioned it. I love that logo.
Yeah. I'll back out a little bit, but yeah. So that's a Brick Talbot Bishop. So, but they've been my friends for going on 2 years. They've helped me as at 48 discovered I was a something, didn't really know what it was. I just knew I felt dead things around me and ended up figuring out with their study that I'm also a physical medium. I also have all the extra 5 senses, and they've helped me kind of translate information so I don't feel like I'm going crazy all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's really hard to find good mentors for that. And
well, especially in the area of the country which we live in, the old Bible Belt.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think New Orleans would be easier, but honestly, I struggled for 3 years going to everyone I knew who had abilities, and they all looked at me like I was trying to steal their business. And that wasn't, for me, that's not what it was about. It was about just help me, like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
And it took a while to find them.
And then whenever, okay, there's the thumbs up. You guys are ready. We will pull you up in just a second. Let's take a second to say hello to this really active group chat. Like this chat's going crazy.
Wow, lots of
Hi,
people.
Kim. I just saw you like an hour ago at the taco place. Let's see. We got Greg Koss. We have Kimmy
Hi.
Corpse.
Hi, Greg.
We have Kim Brady. We have Kim Moran. I got to hang out with her at the Spirits of Deadwood, her and her daughter.
Oh, fun.
That was so fun.
I've got to travel more.
I enjoy meeting all these people. I haven't so far. I'm batting 1,000 with meeting wonderful, wonderful people. We got Russell Reynolds.
Elders Russell, yep.
What's up, buddy? Hope you're having a good investigation. Let's see who else. We've said hello to Ricky. Carol Garcia. It's always great to see her. Is there anybody we missed? Oh, James
Our
Brady.
favorite gnome,
Yes. Who?
Chris Carr.
Yes, Chris Carr and Krista Johnson from Bigfoot in the Booby. I mean, Bigfoot in the Bunny. That's right. So, hello, everyone. Kim Brady is stalking me. Yes, you are. Considering you live like 3 minutes down the road. Oh my God, are we ready? Are we ready to dive into the metaphysical and the construction aspect?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right,
you
we're going
ready?
to pull up a Brick and Sam.
Neil,
Hey, guys, how are you?
good. Finally, computer issues. Had to put it all on the phone, so we're making it work.
Oh, that's good because I think StreamYard just rolled out a much nicer mobile version. So hopefully you guys aren't having a problem. It used to suck.
No, that worked really well. But the ghosts were obviously playing with us tonight to not want us on there.
Oh, tell John Talbot I say hello.
I will do so. We
Waving
will.
at him.
Exactly.
Thank you. We may get into that, Brandon.
Oh, we will.
Listen, I'm good with whatever. And so usually I mentioned this before the show, but it's a 2-hour show. The guest, you don't have to stay on for 2 hours if you don't wish. But I allot the time because sometimes we just get in really good conversations and we go down a rabbit hole and we have time to finish. So,
Perfect.
however that works. So if you could just introduce yourselves to the audience, please.
Cool. Well, I'm Samuel Bowling. I grew up in a small town in Iowa of about 600 people. At 18, moved to California. I was having weird things in my life ever since I was a kid, but no one reinforced that or helped me understand it. And so there was really, when it came to ghosts and things, I knew there was something out there, but I didn't quite understand it. And I went into a few different places. When my grandma died when I was 16, she started coming back to me. And I believe she probably saved me from a car accident, believe it or not. Okay. And everybody wanted to say it was my overactive imagination. And I'm like, no, she was right there, like literally. And so it took me on a journey. When I moved to California, I was trying to have counselors help me, and they really weren't helping me. And I met this little old lady who was a spiritualist medium, and she just started laughing. I'm like, Pat, this isn't funny. And she goes, actually, it is, because it's just dead people talking to you. And
that's all.
No, it's pretty hilarious, honestly. So I spent 10 years with her as a teacher every Saturday in spiritualist tradition, but then went on to work with a bunch of different shamanic practitioners with everything from Lakota to Shipipo to Andean, Peruvian jungle stuff as well too. And now here we are in New Orleans with a little witchy shop. So, and then Mr. Brick.
Hello. Like Jen said, I was hit by lightning as a kid in a coma for like 8 months and came out of it running my mouth, as they say, and seeing dead people. And the first lady I saw was, she had been in a car wreck, and I came screeching into the kitchen saying, you know, Miss Hyacinth, there's a dead lady, and and she was in a car wreck, and she's very sweet, and she was like talking about how she was like bashed in the head, and she just wants to talk to somebody. And so I'm talking to her, and she wants to talk to somebody who's grown up. So that's when Hyacinth said, baby, you need to come to us. You need to come to your grandma TikTok, your mama Zell, your daddy, or me, and we will take care of it. We will teach you how to talk to these dead people, because they will come around and they will pester the hell out of you. But when her big witch tip was, and I tell people this, if you sense somebody around, or if you see somebody around, a spirit, a ghost of someone you loved or someone who's passed, you can't just, as she used to say, you can't just think it. They're not like Jesus or Santa. They can't read your mind. So you got to speak out loud and say, Spirit, you have caught me on the toilet, and you need to be gone now, because they don't have no time. They don't have no sense over there, because they just say, hi, I'm here. So
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
growing up with it, the first thing I was taught was pendulums, and using pendulums, but using tarot cards. It was kind of a form of meditation. It was a rider deck. I still use it. And it really helped me focus, and learning the cards and learning divination. They taught me scrying afterwards, which is looking into an obsidian mirror or a crystal ball or water. I still suck at it like you wouldn't believe. So I just kind of go over that.
I disagree.
Thank you.
Isn't the mirror thing scrying
Yeah.
that you did, and I saw my dog? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it comes. It's like you can't force it sometimes with scrying. It's kind of like, okay, I'm ready. It's people
Yeah.
here, but
I get it.
yeah, I have to say, the best thing that ever happened was my dad gave me.
Very true.
My dad gave me books on comparative religion when I turned 9. And the first one was Buddhism, that went into Jainism, that went into, the next one was, he threw a curve, Latter-day Saints, that good as any. Then it was, oh gosh, Zoroastrian beliefs. Then the big one when I was about 12 was trying to go through the entire Mahabharata and the Hindu faith. It was like, I can't remember all of these Indian
Right.
gods. The nun at the time looked at me like, you're what? I said, the Indian gods, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this one, and Kali, and she'll she's great, but then she's not, and she's a triple goddess, and she just was like shaking her head and sent home a note with my mom to my mom saying, Bricky has a wild imagination, and he has a way with the truth sometimes with religions. And so
Has a way with
But
the truth. Yeah.
Exactly right.
the great thing that they did teach me was, and I always tell people this who come in and go, it's not in the Bible. You can't be doing, you can't be speaking to ghosts. You can't be doing this. You can't be reading cards. You can't do anything prophecy. You can't do healing. You can't do that. 12 Corinthians, it says Holy Spirit will give you these gifts. All you have to do is not hate on Christ, Jesus, the Judeo-Christian Christ, and accept God into your life. It's like gods, they're all, like Hyacinth said, you pick a piece of wood that you're comfortable with and you pray to it, and it's going to come back to you. It's going to be good. So, it's in the Bible that you get the gift of prophecy, you get the gift of healing, you get the gift of being able to tell real people who are religious, like priests or something, if they're the real deal, or churches, or if they're cults. And you can tell when you're in a seance if, someone comes through and it's like, I'm your grandma, hello. It's like, that ain't her grandma. That is some devil. You just go, devil. And then of course, the weirdest one, healing is great, but the weirdest one is gift of tongues, because people don't understand that. They just think it's speaking in tongues. And after 4 or 5 martinis. I have done that. Spirits of New Orleans. But it's more understanding other languages. Some people have the gift of learning languages, but in a seance, when someone comes through, it's, yeah, it comes in handy with that. So, yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
But I'm going to stand by that my belief that you need to write a book of Miss Hyacinth isms.
It started. You have been the inspiration, and not for nothing. I'll have to give Jennifer something amazing. She is such a great medium, and dead people love her. Dead children just they can't get enough of, what is it? Good grandma? No,
Fun
happy
grandma.
Fun
grandma.
grandma. And
Walter,
yes, she has been in the back in the seance room, and we have been having just conversations. And people like my deceased brother came through, and she's
David,
and she was like, "Do you know this and this guy?" And she didn't even know I had. Yeah, about the pizza. And very specific about the pizza. It was very personal, and I was like, there's nobody who could know this. Y'all don't even know that I have a dead brother.
No, I didn't.
And time after time after time after time, my own family who are dead, I think they like Jennifer a lot more than me, because they come to her before they come to me. But I'm mad, because if I was mad,
Well, my family talks to you. I think my family talks to you, your family talks to me, because they think it's just one of those things. You didn't listen to them while you're alive. Why are you going to start when they're dead?
Yeah.
Very true.
Right.
Very true. It's funny because I'll wake up in the morning and he'll start saying a song. It's like, I don't know what this is about. And I'm like, oh, that's my mom. But literally,
vague
stuff he's never heard before.
Western or something, or like some
a lot of bebop or Hollow. Who is that? Buddy Holly, stuff like that.
Holly.
Yeah.
And some of his dead friends will. These obscure. I never listened to hair metal. I was too busy wearing way too much makeup and being goth. I'm dying. I'm 20. But he will tell me the song that I'm like, do you know the words to this song? It goes blah 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 blah, and the words are like dee dee dee. He's like, oh yeah, you don't know that song? It's by the guy who was in White Snake. That was this, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a way that I actually can understand who spirits are by the influence of the music that pops in my head. I call it the spirit jukebox. So,
I mean, there's worse things.
Right, exactly. Oh, there's some bad music out there. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, you do music. I do food.
Oh, trust me.
Exactly.
There you go.
Food's easy. I do food because of the ways it can. Because I'm still baby medium. I'm sorry, I don't care what y'all say. But it's easier because they can touch 4 or 5 senses when they're trying to share a food memory. The smell, taste, the picture, the word. So it's sometimes a little easier to get, and it's more personal. Everyone ate.
That's also that's one of the things that when we cross. I hate die because you never die. When you pass over, the one thing that you miss, is taste, smell, touch, sound, different sounds that you can only hear with human ears. Things like sex, things like that only are human. You're on the other side going, well, this is really wonderful. I am at peace and happy usually, but damn, so it's a long time to condition yourself when you're in review out of that craving for the flesh, basically. But when they can send a message, music, like with Jen, food, it's like the first thing. If they're trying to get through and going through Jen to someone, I've many times, it's like, did your grandmother or did your mother or did your whoever make this? And they're like, oh shit, how would you know that? And so that's one of the things. So, yeah.
There's a lot to be said about food and sex and all the carnal pleasures. definitely a lot to be said about sex. But that's a different show. Later,
We may need to extend our rating a little, right? What are we at,
Right.
I'm not gonna go into details. So, yeah.
but you know, like what I try to tell people is like, I'm not from here. I'm not from this earth. However, I mean, nobody is. We're all star seeds, or however which way you want to believe. But just the enjoyment of the food, I would continue to take that on. Like, I love pie. Like, so I mean, you know, so yeah, so I get it with the food, and music is my life. I get it with the songs, and it, you know, it kind of does me good to know that when I get to the other side, at least there's still music and thoughts about the food.
We play music in their shop
Yeah.
when we do investigations because it seems to elicit a lot of responses. I actually have a ghost playlist we play back there.
Yes.
There was a wonderful.
Yes, Talbot, we're good. It is after 9.
There was a wonderful Latin family group, all young, pretty much young people in, and this dude came through for Jennifer and was talking about, you know, they were like, is there anything we can do for you? And he was like, my grandmother said, if you're a smart ass in this life, you're going to be one in the next. He was like,
100%.
yeah, I need pizza. Yeah, he said, I want pizza. And it kind of went from there. And Jen was like, I have to tell you guys, he wants pizza. And they fell out. They knew exactly everything that Jen was spot on about. They're like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And, you know, he passed fairly young, like 18, 19, from a car accident. And it was like, yeah, I'm fine. I get the same thing with another story that I'm not going to tell right now, but had a kid come through who was 13, and their parents were like, is he okay? And without skipping a beat, he said, well, I'm dead, but I'm fine. That's good.
Yeah, that's our don't ask them if they're okay because they're dead.
Yeah.
Don't do this on a
Right.
ghost
How
hunt.
do you think I
Dude,
Yeah.
am? So, NSPS
the Wi-Fi is
TV,
good,
first
but
of- right.
Well-
NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. They say I put a bottle of Dr. Pepper on my wife's grave every time I go there. Surprisingly, the one I put there the month before will not be there. Of course.
Yep. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can't believe we're already 30 minutes in.
Yeah,
I
well,
know.
it took us 10 minutes to get the damn phone working. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Well, and it's
I was telling
technology.
I was telling Brandon, we were talking, Sam, about your table sessions that you had actually worked on me as well with the sound
Okay.
healing, and we do that in mediumship class
Yeah. Okay.
as well. So maybe you want to talk about all that.
Yeah. So, as I studied more of the mediumship and understanding my connecting with the loved ones that have crossed, I was going through some stuff in my life where, again, I was seeking out counselors and stuff to help with it because there was just pieces that didn't make sense. And I got connected into a gentleman that does cranial sacral therapy. And so there's a guy named Gary Strauss who's one of the forefront of that, and it works with the parasympathetic systems of the body. So it helps it to relax, but it helps you kind of open up it helps the body to reconnect, to talk to itself again. That's the best way to put it. But people with PTSD and complex PTSD and things of that nature, you can do quantum healing in an hour on a table that would take months to years of regular traditional counseling. So I mix that in with some sound healing with crystal bowls. I also play the didgeridoo a little bit. I'm learning the circular breath. That's a pain in the ass, but I'm learning it. I love to do drums. I love to rattle. I sing in a bunch of different languages. I also just let the light language come out when it does, because that's how this works. I think one of the biggest things that people don't get is we are shamanic, eternal souls or beings traveling the cosmos, and we drop into different human suits over time.
Yep.
And we're going to have memories, we're going to have recollection of those other times and places and things. So everything is information. Instead of freaking out about it because you feel something, you hear something, you say something, talk to it. What is going on? And literally when people get on my table, I just talk to them, or their body will tell me about the leg that they broke when they were 16. And then their grandma passed away weeks into that, which gives them this long-term pain in their leg because they're storing the trauma in the weak point of the body. So it kind of revolutionized who I was as a person. I'm like, wait a second, I'm going to bring this on and help everyone out. So that's what a big piece of what I do. Yeah.
He's good at taking.
And see, I'm glad that you.
I'm sorry. He's good at taking malevolent exes who are haunting you out of your body.
Even if they're still alive.
We call that depossession work in some places.
All you need is that you need a swamp and an alligator, and we will fix you up.
Exactly.
I need an old swamp witch and a young swamp witch, and right.
Exactly.
Hey,
I get
You
it.
got
I'm working on the old part. It's funny also, people who are my age and older are like, oh, if there's reincarnation, I'm never coming back. I had enough of this pain, enough of this life, enough of everything. I'm not going to reincarnate. I'm like,
Yeah,
Because
give it a
like I
minute.
said, when you're on the other side, it's like, oh, I am feeling my oats again now that I'm not in that painful body. So check a bow wow, another show, of course.
Right, of course.
But you know,
At a later time.
going into review, being dead is the best thing I can say. If you can't be born in Paris, plan on dying a couple of times in your life, and you will be able to sail to your final destination without any problems, because peaceful, wonderful. My grandmother used to say famously that she was like, baby, do you know what being dead is like? It's like that Metamucil commercial where that woman's all stuffed up, and then all of a sudden she takes the Metamucil and she is dancing, lifting her skirt up, twirling around. She said, that's what being dead's like. I was like, are you telling me? She said, yeah, it's like taking a big old spiritual poo.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh my God.
Okay. Okay.
Do you see what I mean about the book, Brandon? Miss Hyacinth is great.
I will be buying one when it comes. I'm first printing. I'm getting one.
I have the pleasure of Miss Hyacinth speaking to me from time to time, and she's a hoot. I just love her.
She tells
So Sam,
she says to hit me on the head with a wooden spoon every now and then. Thank you for not doing that so often.
yeah, no. So Sam, you actually did a removal on one of our investigators after a very tough learning experience for that person during her third investigation privately. Second and third, both involving demonic entities, plural, in both. And this person challenged this energy. Do you want to, without divulging their identity, do you want to?
I'm not going to give blah, 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 his name out. So
Yes.
No. I'll just tell you, this work is very real, first off.
Mm-hmm.
When people come in, you have 8 billion people on this planet, and everybody is perfectly centered in their universe to learn whatever lesson they came here for. When those bubbles overlap, you have to understand how to communicate and what that means, and how to dance in the same room. People get into this because they have this wanting to know or understand, or they want to see something fly off the table or move or whatever it is. And what they don't realize is they're really messing with consciousnesses that just because they don't have a body doesn't mean that they don't have conscious ability to create chaos around you. And I it's the Pigpen effect, okay? So think about Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and you see Pigpen when you're a kid, and he's always got that stuff flying around him. Well, we're kind of that way where we leave traces and pick stuff up where we go. And if we're not doing our spiritual hygiene, if we're not clearing that out in ways mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we bring hitchhikers with us. So now that we're paranormal and we're jumping into these places where there's broken psyches and broken pieces of these spirits, it makes it that much easier for someone that hasn't really done the work or isn't as aware, so to speak. And it's not saying that there's a hierarchy of awareness or any of that. We travel the spiral of eternity, and it's all about ascending. That's the whole point of the weirdness of it.
Tell them about the symptoms and what happened. And
Oh,
the
dude.
personality.
Well, no, because it's the personality. I got a text message from someone, and they're like, "Oh my God, what do I do? Look at this!" And it was a picture, and the person turned, and the eyes were black. Okay, and then they went back to kind of their eyes again.
Blue.
And I was like, "Okay, yeah, get them over here. Let's figure this out." Like
And
now.
Okay, actually, in
personality-
that they actually followed up with, "I'm going to find my legion," and walked out.
Yeah, exactly.
space.
And it was this
Oh,
very
no.
crazy thing. So I had them come over and we did some clearing work. And my thing is, when I start shaking a rattle, that's when I can tell what's going on, because things will stay peaceful and calm. The weird thing too is the space is very magical. It's been the Church of Witchcraft since '72, but it's got a whole nother level of magic to it here.
Yeah, the
That-
space that you work out of now, right?
Yeah, Hands of Fate here. There's just a whole nother level of it. So when things are disincarnate, I call them earthbound spirits, okay? And they're still learning some lessons. If they're attached to people's auric field, if they're pig penned in, sometimes people won't even be able to walk in the front door here. Sometimes when they walk in, they immediately get sick to their stomach.
And the sound bowls will it makes people who have some sort of attachment or some sort of malevolent spirit, makes them just, it's like chalkboard, fingernails,
Yeah.
all that
Panicked.
stuff.
Well,
Right.
and so interestingly enough, I'm mixing some Lakota cleansing techniques with the rattles and extraction work and deep shamanic work. I'm doing some cranial sacral work, so I'm waking the body up to release some of the trauma points in the session as well. And then I'm playing the bowls. And the thing is, the bowls, not only are they crystal bowls, but they're powdered with crystals as well. So the idea is they kind of work with the holographic body. So not just the regular chakras, the ascended chakras. The three bowls I have, one is powdered kyanite, platinum, and rose quartz. So it opens all the chakras up. It balances them out immediately as well. And it's all done through like a love, and it's the platinum, which is the highest frequency. There's another one that is a high heart one, celestite. So it's holding the star energy, the angelic energy as well. And it's all high heart energy. And the third one is for, they call it the earth star chakra, but it's also for the solar plexus. And it is preonite, which is all about stepping into your life purpose. But there's also ashes from gurus and teachers that lived on this planet. And there's three major gurus' ashes that are also in this as well. And when those gurus died, the monks prayed over the ashes to get rid of any of the karmic energy and to hold all the healing energy. And then they made these tools out of them. And I happen to have one of these bowls, and it literally will blow anything that's holding you back out of the way. I hit that, and people, they feel it. They feel the release. And so I never anticipated that that's what I would do or use, but it's become just my practice.
And having to use them on this person. Before Sam worked on them, their other half, I believe, was trying things like, putting holy water in the story, Jen, I think. Weren't they trying to put holy water in their coffee or something?
They morphed this particular demon that was affecting them. They were originally affected by the traditional holy water, and it welted the skin. They had religious relics on that burned them. They threw them off.
Yep.
And in a matter of 9 hours, this energy had adapted, and this person put everything back on, and someone had put holy water in their drink without them knowing, and they just chugged that sucker down. Nothing worked. The traditional, nothing worked.
Yeah.
Right.
It took a group effort, but yeah, it took.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the
And
thing is,
that's the reality of what we kind of dabble in. I'm going to step out for just a second. My dog's locked outside, so keep talking. I'll be right
No
back.
problem. Well, and that's the one thing about
Okay.
some of those stories is that was a big story. That's a house that when we go back and look at it, it echoes for 100 years with really crazy history, crazy murders, crazy people that lived there that were the murderers or whatever it was, and it's got an echo. That's my best way to call it. It's an echo of whatever that story is, and it recreates itself. And the goal is clear it if we can, or balance it as we can. When you get to places like that, I grew up in Iowa in this tiny little town, and I was back there a few years ago visiting, and a friend of mine asked me if I could help clear her house out because they were having weird stuff going down, and her partner had broken up of years, and he had seen a lot of ghosts. And she took me around the house to show me there was an old cistern down below the house, and it was probably the first cistern in the city that was used. He had ended up filling that up with cement and closing it up because of the things that were coming out of it energetically. Okay. When I went to clear that house, I had to make like a medicine bowl, like a medicine wheel, in a bowl with crystals and grit it and put it on top of that cistern. And then as I started to shake the rattle, the daughter fell on the ground and she started having a seizure. And I realized it wasn't a seizure, it was the energy attached to her. And if I would keep rattling, it would release. But I had to sit there in that knowing that that was going to happen. And that's one of the more bizarre stories. I have a couple of them like that. And we cleared the whole house out, did all of the work with that space. And it's been fairly calm there since I did it. It's been 6 years now since the girls had a seizure or any problems. And, I was just chatting with the mom a few weeks ago about it. And she goes, I still don't know what happened. And then the dad that was seeing everything, he got shot when he was younger. And so he touched death. Okay. Once you touch death, you see through the veil. Okay. So he was seeing all the spirits and all this activity around him. So that was a whole nother thing that when we cleared that house, he was actually able to come back in and release that. And there was more of a joy there. This place that we're talking about with Jen and that, it's a similar thing. There's some stupid ancient energy that I can't say stupid, that's horrible. There's an energy there that's been there before people. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a geomagnetic anomaly that amplifies it. I don't know if it's a gateway, but it's very real. And it can create physical malady within people. It can create their psychosis. And so many sensitive women think they're going crazy as they get older. And what's happening is their body's turning into the sage energy. It's focusing them to pay attention to that intuition. And a lot of them, that's when they dive deeper into religion or they dive deeper into spirituality. Do you know what I mean? And so This is where we have to step back a little bit and look at some of the ancient traditions and go, holy shit, they had it right all along. We have to honor this.
And when Sam says when men get of a certain age and get these feelings, it's like, I think that's gas. Shouldn't have ate those Funyuns and had that Dr. Pepper.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. And that's really the reality why I do this. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I didn't want to believe this stuff was real. And then these different situations happened. And then I was working on a movie because I work in the movie business too. Okay. So this is back in 2000, or really early 2000s. And I'm going through the lunch line and there's this guy in front of me and he's going, oh, that looks good, but I can't eat it. Oh, that looks good, but I can't eat it. And I'm like, Zach, why can't you eat that? You eat everything. And he's like, oh, I've got this weird shamanic thing this weekend. And so I'm on a special diet. I'm like, well, okay, well, I'll eat the steak then instead. And so we joked about it. And then I went and sat down and he came over and sat down by me. He goes, Bowling, I think you're supposed to do this with me. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm calling my shaman dude and he's going to call you. And we're going to figure this out. And so I was invited on a medicine circle weekend. And after I went to a quick, strict diet, did a couple day detox and flush so I could be prepared for it as well. And then we went to Lake Arrowhead, which is Southern California there. And it was in February and we ended up getting snowed in. It was probably one of the most magical weekends of my life because it really showed me what was happening to me was real. The things I was feeling around me, the things that I thought I was seeing was very real. Whether I couldn't see it or not, they say that the spirits live in the infrared, in the ultraviolet. So that's just outside of human eye range.
Right.
I think a lot of us that are sensitive, we can see it and feel it sometimes a little bit more.
And when I see dead people, it's not always the same. It goes from the extreme of, I think I'm getting floaties in my eyes, and Sam's like, look again.
Exactly.
Or it's like
Yep.
shadow, or it's like part of a person going in or coming in. I have a thing that when people are coming into the shop, we have, people come in and they, I say, hey, how are y'all doing? Can I help you guys with something? And they'll say, you guys, it's just me? I look back and say, yes, it's just you for the moment. So you need to talk to a medium, don't you? I don't upsell. They know what they need when they get in here. I will give them information if they ask, but we're not that kind of place where we're like hawking wares and that sort of stuff. So,
I do this because it's so real, and I don't want people to think they're nuts. And people need community and tribe. And I think there's a great movie called "Messages from the Dalai" our questions to the Dalai Lama. And one of my favorite questions, they were like, "What do you think of religion?" And he goes, "Have more picnics." And that's what Hands of Faith's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a place for communion. It's a place to come and ask those questions, but have the people around to bounce ideas off of, to learn, to listen, to share, and have that coven with, or that tribe with. And I think a lot of people, we've gotten so separated because of the instant gratification of computers and touch buttons and all of this shit that we need to go back around the campfire.
Yeah.
We need to sit back. We need to look at some stars. We need to get our feet in the dirt again and kind of ground ourselves back.
And when people come in and a lot of people have questions about you can call them gifts or intuition or this or that, or I do this and am I seeing this because, and they're like, do I have to do an appointment or something? It's like, well, no, we're talking right now and it's cool. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. If you do need a session, if you do want to know things like that, we can do that. But people do come in to get information that, if I always was taught that if you know something, if you have information, it's our duty to teach people, because if you don't, your gifts will be taken away from you if you don't share them. So, and I get to run my mouth to somebody new.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I love the whole idea of community in your shop. We have a store similar to that about an hour and 15 minutes away from us in Asheville, North Carolina. Yeah, you can go there and you can buy what you need, but it's more of the, I need somebody to talk to.
I know the place you're talking about. A friend of mine from the state was telling me about it. It's like, I've been there, dude. They're wonderful. Yeah, so that's what we need.
I think all communities need it, and I think it's people need to know you are not a freak. No, this is, yes, you're taught that this isn't real, and it wakes up at different times with different people. So this is not a race to the end here. Like, whatever's going to wake up in you in this lifetime is your contract and your soul with your creator. It has nothing to do with me. I can help guide you. I can tell you the things that work for me in my evolution. And I'm zero judgment against you on what works for you, as long as it's not hurting anyone or yourself in the process.
And the idea of being Christian and, I can't, you know, I feel these things, but I can't do it because of my religion. I mean, if you're Catholic, it's kind of like, wait a minute. I mean,
Right.
yeah. I actually have the Archbishop bless water from Manshak from the swamp there for me, and he's like, Ricky, you're just like you were when you were a little boy. It's just gimme, gimme, gimme. I said, that is your job. That was my grandmother coming through.
Exactly.
Nice. Excuse me. This has
Let-
got
Good.
to, this has got to be like the longest burning patchouli incense that I've ever lit in my entire life. Like all I keep seeing is the smoke, and especially
I do
the
too.
trees. Like
I know. I keep seeing it too. It's magic, dude. That's what it's about.
that's exactly what it's. I have moved this thing 4 times to try to get it off the camera, and I'm still. So I guess it's what it needed, but I'm starting to cough a little bit.
Oh, I get it.
Just do not burn amber resin close to you because it will choke you
caustic.
out. It's wonderful for cleansing and clearing, but it'll also clear a room, let me tell you.
Well, this one's about to clear the room. If I didn't have to sit here, I'd have been downstairs. And I love this stuff. It's just the you know. I wonder if you can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your beard's
Yeah,
going to
but-
smell really good later.
Yeah, I mean, this room where I have my studio is probably the safest freaking room in the house because there's constantly sage being burned. There's always patchouli. Yeah, so
How about
I
copal?
guess
Do you
I've run-
burn copal? Copal is one of
Not
my
familiar with
go-tos
that.
with frankincense. So,
Yeah, me too. I do too.
it's good stuff.
No,
Our,
usually my
our
go-to.
spirits down in New Orleans smoke sage, so we got to kind of
Yeah.
level up.
Fair.
We got to go a little farther.
Yeah, like like I'll do sage and sweetgrass.
Yeah.
That's my main go-to, and then patchouli incense,
Patchouli, yep.
which is huge for me. That's for my cleansing.
And
And
the
then
entire
Palo Santo
idea
or
about
cedar.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Palo
Palo
Santo, for
Santo I
sure.
love. Some people can't stand Palo Santo. Usually werewolves, but I mean, here I am and I like
I'm
it.
just
But
right there.
something about doing lighting incense is it's like in India they believe that the smoke from the incense brings your intention, your prayers up to
Yep.
the universe, to God, to the spirits. It's one of those things. So anytime we're coming in, I'll light some charcoal and get going. It's like, okay, what's my intention? Wait a minute. Okay, good. And you do that
Right.
or prayer. And same thing with I got to throw this in. People don't know. I didn't know this. When they take salt baths to cleanse, when you get out of the tub, which tip? When you get out of the tub, always exit facing the water, exit backwards, so you leave all that stuff. It's kind of like in New Mexico, on the pueblos, if you go into a cemetery, and same thing here, you have to wash your feet before you leave because you don't want to track anything back. So yeah, same thing with your old intentions that are going to go down the drain. So
Yeah. So, I do not know where he wants to go more with this, but we'll just chat because we do this well.
Did we lose him?
Oh no, he probably took a second. It's all good.
Yeah. So werewolf, really? You want to go into that?
I
That's a
don't
whole
know,
other story.
Uncle John. Shall we go into that? I don't know. But yeah.
Uncle
It's,
John
it's-
Talbot.
it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, my middle name. They had to name me after him. But yeah, if you're born with a caul or with hair or with a tooth, or if you are born with eyebrows that come together, all the above, your grandmother and your mother go, that baby's a werewolf. We're just going to have to just keep him inside when we have the full moon. And of course, my great grandmother was like, no, the cure is you bring him out to the full moon and you just hold him there and spank his butt if he starts to turn. So I learned early on, don't turn or your dead great grandmother is going to come and spank your butt.
Fair
I
enough.
love it. Oh,
Now, you had mentioned king salt baths for cleansing, there's a thing that I try to tell my students, and it is stay in there till all the water has drained.
That's
And I
a
tell
great
them,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, and I tell them like focus on the drain, and visualize all of your shit going down the
That's
drain.
wonderful. Yeah, I like that very much. That's a very good thing. Didn't think about that, but yeah, just visualize that X just going down that drain.
It feels like there's more to the X story than we're going to get into in this
Ah.
podcast.
Everybody has X's, and even as psychic or magical or a medium as you can be, when you fall in love with someone, you drop those things and you give them this protection, and then they poop all over it eventually. No, I'm teasing. But no, yeah. But it's a good thing. One of the things that we make, or I make for the bath salts, is called Hecate salt, which is a triple goddess thing. We do it different things like lunar eclipses or things like that, full moons, blood moons. And it is kind of complicated to make. You have to burn down all these herbs, mix black salt, brick dust, graveyard dirt from the right grave, and stuff like that. And funny story, I'll tell you real quick. Another story. I was on the eclipse. I had this cauldron on the counter going. I was the only one in the store at the time, and it was a Tuesday or something, and I thought nobody's going to come in. So I had it going. I was facing east, away from the door, and the flames were just going. I was throwing stuff in, burn down to ash, and I threw some powdered frankincense in. I thought, more brick dust. Picked up a brick that Jen actually brought me from a wonderful cemetery. And I had a big buck knife instead of a ceremonial knife that I would, use for something else. I had a big buck knife, and I was like, scrape. And I was like, somebody's watching me. I thought, another dead person. But I heard somebody go, and so I turned around, and at the door was this wonderful woman. She was like looking at me. My hyacinth would say, that look when you accidentally shoot a gun over a baby's head, how surprised they look? She made that look and said, baby Jesus, no. And she went running down the sidewalk. And of course, my beard was like down to here. And I was like, wait, it's good magic. So I'm chasing her down the block holding a brick and a Bowie knife. And I was like, this is not the best look for the store. It's off brand. So I went back in. Right. I lit a candle for her and, intention, please come back so I can explain. And she came back and she said, my grandma used to do stuff like that, but she never did it like you. I was like scary dude with chasing somebody. Yeah. So she's a regular customer now, which is good.
Well, and I have to say, I've never met somebody named Brick, but you look the part of a dude that's named Brick.
Yeah, he does.
Long story short, my grandmother and my great grandmother knew Crowley when he was here in New Orleans, but they also knew Tennessee Williams, and way back there was a book called 3 Players in a Summer Game, and that turned into Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And the main character in the book was named Brick Bishop. And of course, the matriarch said, we're going to name that baby Brick because Brick Bishop, it's a literary name. So flash forward to when I was like 16, I had read the book, I'd seen Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And I turned to her and I said, Miss Hyacinth, in the book, he's an alcoholic ex-football player who's in the closet. And she said, you got goals now.
Yes.
And then, and of course, my mom kind of piped up and she said, well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's awesome. For those of you just tuning in to Shaman Sundays, we myself and my very, very special guest host, Jennifer Talley of New Orleans Paranormal Society. We're sitting here with Brick Bishop and Samuel Bowling from New Orleans. We are at the 1 hour mark. Usually, what we do at the 1 hour mark is we take a little 5 minute break for sodas or blood or like whatever. I mean, last time we had Papa's on, so if he needed blood, he'd go get blood. So whatever you need,
Okay,
we have
perfect.
5 minutes. We have 5 minutes to do it.
Excellent.
So,
Perfect.
awesome. We'll see you guys in a minute. Y'all stay tuned.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
Figured I'd show you guys the shirts that we're selling before we take a little break. Please don't forget to grab your Dolls Out, Balls Out shirts, ladies and gentlemen. Dolls Out, Balls Out, specifically from Dark 30 Paranormal and yours truly, Shaman Sundays. We have these shirts for sale. Just email us. This is what the front look like. Look at those guys. Look at these models. Like, it looks like the one dude really likes pie. So there's your shirt, there's your front, there's your back. Shirts are $20 a piece, any size. Let me know. And now it's my turn to go get a soda. Once I remember how to take myself down. Like this. So dolls out, balls out, ladies and gentlemen. Dolls out, balls out. I really need to move my studio downstairs. Fat, smoke. I ran upstairs, so bear with me. So I guess I need to do my thing. Those of you just tuning in, welcome to Shaman Sundays. I am your host, Brandon Cooper, exclusively on the Supernatural Inc. network. I am joined by my amazing special co-host for the month, Jennifer Talley of New Orleans Paranormal Society.
Hey,
And we are in the middle of one of the best interviews that I've had on here. My wife is downstairs dying laughing. So I'm going to send my wife an invite to the show, and we'll see if she shows up. But in the meantime, we must continue with brick and mortar. I mean, Brick and Sam.
You can call me Cinder Block or Cindy for short.
Oh, hey, I'm just, Cindy. Okay. So now I got to catch up with all this. Dolls out, balls out. That's right, baby. That's our shirts. Dolls out, balls out. In case you missed it, Sam, I think is it okay to call you Sam? I feel like it should.
Yeah, Sam.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Maybe you missed the shirt that I'm selling. So you need to get you a dolls out, balls out shirt.
I like that, actually. I will get a couple.
I know a couple places that it would go over really well.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So yeah, we're gonna.
I'm trying to keep it all like centered here, and you guys are all spinning this out.
Right.
We're just gonna go right there. I'm sorry if you see a tail on your face. It's really a cat tail. My bad.
No, it's that pussy below.
It's this.
Oh, it's a kitty. There you go. Boom, boom.
Oh, you have a very nice kitty.
And we're gonna keep going there, aren't we?
Okay, I'm just gonna.
Don't get the ghost of Uncle John started, because he hears that Jen is on the phone, and I'm getting whispered in my ear things like, "Thank you for the whiskey woman." It's like, don't call her woman. She will kill you all over again. You're dead, but she's gonna kill you again.
All over again.
Dead for the dead.
It's probably what prompted our first fight that ended in not so good things for me, because I said, "Don't call me woman."
Right. Exactly.
Okay, we'll just say this. There's a past life connection between me and Brick's great, three greats, Uncle John Talbot. I was his official mistress.
And her, I finally put Jen's portrait back then, when her name was Anna. I decided to put it across in the seance room, across from Uncle John, so they can just have it out,
We can stare at each other from back then.
It's quite fascinating when Jen comes for the paranormal groups. Some nights it's hilarious what comes across the machines, and it's his filthy mouth. Like, you just know it.
I mean,
it's pretty hilarious.
There are some groups that got some very graphic descriptions of me from back then.
Yeah.
During Estes method, even.
Exactly.
I can't say what they said.
No, not on this show. But I think I'm going to have to start another one.
An after hour?
We can we'll just call it like Train Wreck or Mortified or something. And then we'll just do whatever. But
Stranger Things After Dark.
After Dark.
Way Stranger Things. It has to be Stranger Things, because we are in the South.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're all in the South. Stranger Things.
You know what? That might happen. That's a great idea, and that might happen. It'll have to be like 11 o'clock Eastern, but
really, and Pacific. The thing with Uncle John is, he's still in review. He doesn't want to cross. He doesn't want to. He don't want to go meet his maker. God, Lord, you know, I hope he doesn't. But he still kind of hangs around and has not recycled or reincarnated. But the interesting thing about, like I was talking about, being a smart ass in this life and a smart butt in this life and being it in the next, I'll tell you a really quick story. We had someone come in for a couples reading, and our guy Work was doing the reading, and I was running back and forth. I had wood glue all over my hands, and I had like screws in my mouth because I was, you know, busy. And I heard, I looked over and saw that, you know, Work was with these two, you know, people doing a couples reading, which is not mediumship, not anything with dead people. But I heard this kid behind me say, well, you can just tell those two that I'm not into cars anymore, in this kind of squeaky voice. I was like, what? And they kind of looked at me, and I was like, nothing, everything's good. And so I went back to the seance room, and the kid was like, well, you can tell them. I said, wait, who am I talking to? And I think I know who them is. And the name was like Aiden or Adam. And because I was busy and I was like trying not to listen, I said, well, I'm not telling them anything because I don't interrupt a reading ever. And so I kept going back and forth, and he was saying, well, thank them for walking me to my window, and thank you for the lights. And it didn't hurt. It just felt like when Christopher used to push me down. I was like, okay, this is getting good. So I was like, I'm not going. And he was like, I'm going to bother you until you do. So I went over and I said, never done this in my life. I'm never going to do it again. I'm paying for your reading. I'm sorry for this. I know it's a couples reading, and this is going to sound strange. Do you know I would say tween 13, 14-year-old boy named Aiden or Adam who would say something like, you can just tell those two I'm not into cars anymore, like that. And they both just kind of like, the mother started laughing and crying, grabbed her phone, was scrolling through photos. The dad was like, again, with the, you know, hyacinth, the baby, you know, when you shoot down over its head, you know, the eyes. And he said, that is our son, Adam. I was like, okay. He says, thank you for the lights and thank you for walking me home to my window. Does that mean something? Because he's just listening, I guess. He's behind me. And right. They said, yeah, every year he was hit by a car going to school, and we do a processional from where he was hit all the way with candles in luminarias or something, all the way to the window. And he was into cars as a kid. And he was like, she was scrolling through her phone to show me the photos of his room, a lot of cars. And so it went on for a second, and I said, thank you. And he said, it didn't hurt. It just felt like when Christopher used to push me down in the, like at school. And I was like, does that mean anything? So, yeah, he used to get beat up by this kid, Christopher. And the dead will try to get you to say things. And I was like, I'm not saying it. He said, tell Dad, thank you for teaching me to kick Christopher in the nut. And I was like, what does that even mean? And they're like, what? And he said, thank you for teaching me to the dad. Thank you for teaching me how to kick Christopher in the nuts. Right. Are we talking testicles? And he was like, yes, that's it. And so long story short, when they were going to leave, there was lots of hugs around. And I told them that, you know, when Adam's going to come around for some time, and when you feel him and you're thinking of him and you feel warm and wonderful, just know he's there. And he's just, you know, coming by to say, yay. You know, he's one of them that, you know, said, you know, are you okay? I'm dead, but I'm okay. But I told the guy, I said, you can go back to Michigan or wherever it was, and you can say this crazy looking medium from New Orleans said, your dead son said, "Thank you for teaching me how to kick guys in the nuts." So they keep in touch, and Adam still kind of comes around at night during seances. Of course, he likes Miss Jen, so he's like, "Is she single?" I said, "You're dead. You should know these things." So
Was he like 13 too?
he
Yeah,
is,
13.
you know.
You know.
Yeah.
13 going on 40.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
That's an awesome story.
Thank you. Thank you.
very awesome story. You know, the one thing about this is I'm listening to all of this. I'm thinking about all of the people out there that are questioning different aspects in their world when they think they've felt something, when they think they've heard something, when they don't have the ability to go and check it out to know for sure. I want to just put a little anecdote, a little story, but half of my messages come through at night while I'm sleeping. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
sometimes it's very visual, and sometimes it's almost like astral projection where I'm traveling to people. Other times I'll wake up screaming in my bed like I've been shot in the leg, and I'll have the physical feeling of it. I've felt like I was having a heart attack and a stroke on a flight to Greece, and it was actually the lady who I hadn't met yet. It was the tour guide's dad and uncle that were not able to communicate towards the end of each of their lives because the one had had the stroke, and so he wasn't able to communicate with his brother. And then the dad passed away, but it was to bring a message to her, and I hadn't even met her yet. But it was feeling all of this stuff and talking myself off that ledge, off that anxiety attack, off of those times where I wake up. Brick was like, "What the hell happened?" And I'm like, "Something shot through my leg, and my ankle is killing me in my back."
Oh, and it's often he will. One time it was like, I think I broke a couple of ribs. I was like, "How did you do that?" Sitting on the sofa watching TV. And he was like, "It really hurts. It really hurts." And my shoulder, and come to find out, it's always somebody who is 9 times out of 10 someone who's coming in. He doesn't even know who it is. A walk-in or someone who makes an appointment that day and comes in, and it's how their person passed. The thing with the ribs was this wonderful story. This woman came in, and her father had been in an awful car accident, and she was just so wrapped up in, he passed, and was so wrapped up in the fact that she didn't want him to pass alone. And apparently there was a woman who had stopped and was trying to give aid and didn't know any of the rest of the story. And Sam was like, "Okay, well, what I have to ask about the injuries." And of course, it was a side impact. And the the daughter who came in was like, "Well, I was worried he was like by himself when he passed." And Sam was like, "No, reach out to the woman who showed up, because she was there with him." He was Samuel was getting the feeling, the visual that the father was not in pain at that point. I guess his body was in shock and he was crossing, but the woman was there for like 15 minutes and holding her dad's hand while he passed. So she went back after the appointment and reached out to the woman, finally found her, and she was like, "Yeah, I was there," and didn't know that she was like a trained, like a nurse or something. But she said, "Yeah, I stayed there with him until he passed." And she said it's wonderful to know that he was not alone. And Sam was like, to me personally, he said, "I am so glad my side doesn't hurt. I am glad if she would have canceled that appointment, I would have been crippled by the end of the week." But that happens a lot with this guy.
No, so like I was saying, like the gunshots. So literally 2.5 months ago, I woke up screaming, and that was the ankle, the calf, and the lower back. And he's like, "What the hell's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. Something just shot through my leg." I said, "It's fucked up. It's not just a cramp." I said, I couldn't. I'm sorry.
You can say that.
No,
okay.
At this point in time, we're good. You can drop the F-bomb.
Well, the thing
we're okay with that.
I knew it wasn't a cramp because how your muscle cramps differently. This was far different. And I'm used to calf cramps. And so I had nothing scheduled. The next day, a lady walked in and it all started coming back to me. I had to wear an ankle brace to go to the store that day.
Ugh.
When the lady came in and I started talking to her, it all came back. And I said, someone I think is around you. And I said, I don't know, but my ankle's killing me. My calf is killing me, my lower back. And she goes, holy God, or holy shit. Like literally, she's like, my business partner died 10 days ago, shot in the back, the calf, and the ankle, and he bled out. And I'm going back to take care of the business right now. And I haven't been there since. So, like, this is what I'm talking about. I want people to realize that if you feel something, say something, and is it yours? Yeah. If you wake up in the morning, is it your headache? Is it the energy of the day? Is it your stomach ache? Is the universe giving you other messages and you're just choosing to not listen?
Jennifer famously, if I may quote you, and of course you famously said, sometimes I will get a migraine, a feeling on my head or something, and I just feel uneasy, or and I know it is a spirit around that just basically wants to be heard, if not give a message. And my favorite was, and sometimes they're just like when you're a kid and you're going, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, and you're just kind of like, there's something just, it's like a bug flying around me. It's like, that's it. Everyone gets a chance to have dead people coming around, and they will come around. They don't care if you're naked on the toilet. They don't care if you're in the middle of carnal relationships. They're just like, oh, hi, okay, I'll be back. But they're around. So if you feel them, like I said, Hyacinth said, they're not psychic like Jesus or Santa. So you got to speak out. When you feel people around, you've got to say it. You got to say, okay, hello, I need,
That's a big piece of it. The big piece of it is acknowledgement. What about dreaming of people around you and future things about the dead reaching out? Okay, so this is an interesting question there that April just put up there.
Yeah,
Thank you, April, for that. And I'm glad I caught it. So
tiny phone.
I know, tiny phone. My eyes are weird. Anyway, when it comes to dream time, I think of dream time as being real time, and this awake time being the theater of the absurd and how it plays out. And so I think a lot of our messages, a lot of the stories, a lot of the people, like the spiritualists have this belief of the soul fragmenting. Everybody that cared about that person holds a piece. And then upon life review on the other side, they show up in dream time to collect those pieces. And that makes the most sense to me as well.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, metaphorically. The other thing is that also, if people have had heavy addiction and things of that nature, sometimes we can carry those pieces of that broken spirit in a way as well too, while it's healing on the other side. So we can go further into our depressions because we're attaching our story to that feeling. We want to know where it's coming from. And so this is what I'm talking. It's really about talking everything out, asking questions of it. Everything is information. Learning to sit for a few minutes and discern and talk to your higher self, your spirit guide, whatever you want to call it. Find the way to center yourself, not self-centered, centered in yourself. The knowing of who you are, so that way when you get the nudge, when you get the tap, when you get the whisper in the ear, you go, hey, okay, what was that?
And they do come at night during dreams. Once again, Hyacinth, I asked her, I said, why do I get so many messages from people when I'm sleeping? I mean, couldn't they come, just during the day to give me this? And of course she said, well, you're asleep, and during the day, nobody could get in a word edgewise with you, living or dead. So they come at night because, you're in a perfect kind of receptive state, and they'll come in dreams, and a lot of times it is symbols, but a lot of times it's like they're not going to tell you where the money's buried. They want to just watch you squirm for the rest of your life, but they will come and show you things, or if something, a lot of times people will come in and say, I have these dreams that something is going to happen, and then it happens. I mean, that's plugging in to, you know, the universe basically. So
And
listen to those.
so
Right.
can we talk a little bit too about that dream state and the science behind those theta waves?
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Where are we going? Because I think there's so many people out there that don't understand so much, that there's so much science to back up not only paranormal investigations, what we're looking for, sound, vibration, motion, electromagnetic fields, touching that infrared light, and everything measured in waves. So we talk about, I think we've talked about those theta brain waves and why we get these messages. Even if they are premonitions, there's still information from energies that maybe you don't understand at the time, or your spirit guide saying, hey, this is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing I wanted to touch on with the premonition really quick, since she had asked that, you have to take it all as information. I had the dream 97 days before the tsunami happened. There's a lot of people in the world that had the same premonition. It was very generic, literally 2 concave towers in this little black and white design, with a little stick man running from a big wave, and then a rectangle in the corner with a red dot. But I woke up in the middle of the night and I wrote Japanese tsunami artwork / vision, because I knew it was something more. The universe was trying to tell a bunch of us that, hey, there's going to be some devastation coming. How are you going to hold that space when that happens for the planet?
Right.
It wasn't about me going out and telling everyone the tsunami is happening. And that's the deal, is I'm not here to save the world. I'm here to take care of myself and help the ones that come and ask for it. I'll be given messages for those people. I need to not take it, the emotional body of it on. So if you feel something, prime example, I was in Munich for Oktoberfest 2004. Woke up in the middle of the night to dream of someone being bludgeoned and murdered around drugs. And I knew it was back around someone at home. Over 6 months, that vision came back more and more over time. And then I found out a friend of mine I'd grown up with went missing the same night that I had the dream. And he had been in Pennsylvania where he was living. I hadn't seen him in a decade, 15 years almost. Everything that I got in that 6 months matched what the detectives had on that case. And that was really, in some ways, a coming out of my psychic gifts and understanding. Yeah. And I had to sit there in my conviction and go there and deal with this. And then we had to wait 18 years to get the kid to confess before we got the body.
Oh, wow.
So that can drive you fucking
of
insane.
Details that
Totally
Sam
insane.
was bringing to the place.
No, you're good. You're good.
Something absolutely, I have to touch on this, something absolutely fascinating to me is the technology behind what I think the future is. I know the future is technology and reaching across through the veil or to the dead. My first eureka moment was, I will admit, Jennifer, when New Orleans Paranormal Society first came into my brain, I was like, these gadgets? What? The dead people are going to just roll their little dead eyes and go, well, I'm not doing that.
They kind of did a little.
But when I saw it because I'm old school medium, I have to be in a trance and I'll slobber. I don't make ectoplasm out of my mouth anyway. But the fact that it's like a tool now, all of these devices that Jennifer says, it's a lot of times it's like a 4-year-old's birthday party and there's a live mic in the middle of the room and they're like, me. They are using technology, they meaning us who passed, are using technology to tap into our brains in other ways, naturally through sleep and theta waves, brain states. But then now they're coming through with the devices and the tech that they keep coming out with. And Jennifer is on top of everything that's coming out. It's like, what is that? Oh, it's a microphone that you can hear only what bats hear. It's like,
I actually do have a bad microphone.
She
I
does have a
do.
bad microphone. So we're being
That's
honest
awesome.
here.
That's
But
awesome.
I am definitely believing that within, hopefully, my lifetime, that technology will bring us to where we can communicate. I don't want to be around to have my brain like downloaded into a computer, maybe, but I think
I
the
want to be
future-
made into a tree or a diamond, just personally.
A tree or a diamond.
a tree
Yes.
or a diamond.
I
That's
want
what
to
I'm
be.
thinking.
I want to be like shot over Disneyland and blown apart in the fireworks. Just kidding.
You don't want to
Totally.
get cremated first? I mean,
Oh yeah, but I probably should cremate first, huh?
No,
I would probably cremate first. Just,
Being
I don't
Although
think-
if you wait till Universal and do it over Halloween Horror Nights, you probably don't need to
They
be
won't know.
cremated first.
I mean,
it's like, what
if you're on a
the-
budget,
It's raining sushi.
The Exorcist house. Boom! Here it goes.
I've
Yes.
always thought I wanted to be buried, you know, if I have to have a coffin, it's going to be a Hello Kitty coffin. And I want to have it packed with glitter and spring loaded. So if an archaeologist or a grave robber comes in, or a zombie trying to eat my brain, that they open the casket and I will pop up and glitter goes everywhere and they will, can I say shit?
Yes.
They will shit themselves.
Yes.
1,000 years
Yes.
from now, it will happen.
Make it so, number one.
Make it so.
make it so. Engage.
Oh,
Yeah, I've always wanted to like at my funeral, my buddy and I, we have a pact. Like if I go first, he shows up in a Grim Reaper costume and he hands out. So he stands next to the casket the whole damn time, doesn't say a word. And then towards the end, he hands out tasers to everybody. And the last one standing gets all my shit.
there you go.
I love it.
I love that.
Yep.
I
One
love
of the
that.
one of the people we do business with sent me a picture of a lady's funeral card, and she asked that her funeral card be a Ouija board card, and she said just in case you want to keep in touch.
That's one thing.
That's
Another
awesome.
hyacinthism. She
That's
was.
great.
She's like, I don't really like the Ouija board so much. I tried to reach that Daniel Webster guy who did the encyclopedia or the dictionary or whatever. His spelling went to hell. He don't know how to spell for shit anymore. It's like, well, maybe it was the martini. It's like, no.
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 But getting back
If
to
you- if
talking
you
about
live-
all the
If you live to be 102, you can drink a martini.
If you can.
yeah. You can do whatever the hell you want at 102, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
you can go to Walmart naked wearing a belt. I don't care.
He knows me. Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, the reason I say Walmart is because 9 times out of 10, the people are going to be like, "Why are you wearing a belt?"
It is.
It's very
It
true.
is modern entertainment. It is pure modern theater. No one goes to the theater anymore. They just go to Walmart.
See, I want to take the top of Walmart and like build a bar all the way around, like a second level, so you have a viewing area.
I want to be up
I
there
like that, actually.
controlling a
Big glass ceiling.
spotlight.
Just look
Yeah.
down like a fishbowl. What are they doing?
Like, yeah, looks down at all the peasants. You know.
I'll
And
look
like-
up and wave at
well-
you.
Well, I know. See, you would be the dude. We put you like there, so you could kind of do the thumbs up or thumbs down for people
I'll hold up
like
cards.
purchases. Right, yeah. So
He's
but getting
He's the Caesar of
getting back to
Walmart.
the right. Oh my God, you could be the Caesar salad of Walmart.
I would love that. I wouldn't be the Joey Bishop because the last name Bishop is derivative. So yeah,
That's funny.
he never got to
Well.
be in the Rat Pack.
No, you're right.
But talking about how entities are starting to use the technology more and more. Yes, the technology is becoming a whole lot further than it ever has. However, if we just break it down to basics, it's us being able to better control frequencies,
Mhm.
I think.
You-
What are your thoughts
You-
on
What? Say that again. You froze suddenly. I think the ghost jumped in. There we go.
Okay, let's just try this. Can you hear me better now? Okay. So basically, what I said is that instead of the technology getting better, it's us being able to manipulate frequencies better.
I believe so. I really do believe the veil gets thinner and thinner and thinner because of the way the world is. I mean, we are so hooked up with technology. We have to be evolving as well with our brains. So, I mean, yeah, I would not like to see a Neanderthal coming in and trying to use a computer. Probably a child Neanderthal could do it after about a week. But that's another thing. You never hear
Right.
of Neanderthal. You never hear of Neanderthals haunting anything. Well, maybe. I have heard ghosts go, and I thought it was something else completely different. But yeah, the brain is completely
maybe.
rewired.
But we'll save that story for Stranger Things. Yeah, so we'll see.
You can have a co-host, my dead grandmother. She loves to run her mouth like I do, so she can just be there in spirit, just whispering in your ear.
I would love that until I didn't anymore.
Until I didn't, exactly.
Right. Yeah, I mean that would be great till it's not. She's
something else.
Exactly.
She is something else. I don't think you get sick of her. I promise you.
I didn't sound like it.
The good thing about Miss Hyacinth is she kind of keeps the rest of the family, except for Uncle John, the rest of the dead relatives that kind of hang out back here, kind of keeps them at bay a bit, because she's like, you don't have anything to say in English, so you just hush up with your French face. So yeah,
it's very true, actually.
I love this woman. I love this woman.
Amazing. She's amazing. Oh, too funny.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's interesting that as we all started working together, me coming to you guys with the mediumship stuff, and then y'all kind of seeing some of the technology. It's just kind of interesting how we've kind of stirred that pot and kind of mixed it a little bit, kind of learning a little bit from each other, but really what we're looking for, right? When we do, people ask me, do you do readings? And I always tell them, no, I can't. I can't.
You can, and you do.
No, I get short messages during the investigations, but it's such an important thing in people's lives. And there are so many people I see on the tours that after they get a little tidbit of something, that come back to you guys and just do the read, and you're able to help them with those healing messages. I would hate to be the person, because I can't perform. I'm too nervous to them have just mustered up enough, right, to say, I'm going to go get a mediumship reading and I'm going to get this healing message. And then somebody who just freezes on performance, that's the only moment, and that's all they had. And then they got nothing, right? And so I do the little tidbits I do to maybe sometimes warm people up a little, to saying, you can get this and you need this. And then I think that's sometimes like where our partnership comes in, and it works so well, where you guys go, okay, now I'm going to finish it and give you the bigger picture. She gave you the pumpkin pie, right? And she was that this person.
I like pie.
Yeah, there you go. And she gave you the fact that she made you understand that this person is there, because you'd never know any of these things, right? So now now let's get deeper into the story. And I think that's where we sometimes become such a great team, is because we have that dynamic.
True. Your abilities are far greater than you know, and you're very humble for playing them down. But the great thing is, people have to know, I mean, because someone has the ability to carry a tune and can sing, other people, no, he can sing. I cannot. People who can play instruments, people who have natural ability to mess with computers or something. That is a talent, I guess, a gift. It's like the mediumship or anything like that. It's not, we don't go pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, look what we can do, or you can only, do it with us. I do believe, and I believe Sam will agree with me, that everybody has the ability. It's just when people have that gift, they don't know what to do next. We have so many people coming in who have, I can tell they have that gift, being a medium.
One of the things that's interesting too is there's a lot of people out there, and there's amazing mediums in this world. There's some wonderful ones that have taught me, been my mentors, helped me out tremendously. But one thing I shy away from are these group readings with these big rooms full of people and everybody hoping to get a message, because I don't feel like that's fair for the people, because they get a snippet of something or they get a taste of it. I like it when I can sit with a family and we can process what has gone on with that, or when I can sit longer and they can ask whatever questions. So I prefer smaller groups. I can do larger groups of people in that, but really this work is about letting people allow their guard to come down, to ask those questions, to know that they're not crazy. To just teach people, first off, you're not completely nuts. You're a little crazy maybe, but that's just how it works. But this is very real. And if you just start wrapping your head around that and you give them a place that can comfort them a little bit and give them some tools, it's really cool to see what they build down the road.
And I have to touch on something that I get a lot of questions about, and that I have started questioning myself, from people who are really good. There's so many phony balonies out there, and that's why we're hard to work for, because if somebody comes in, I'm a reader, and they're like reading something as simple as cards and say, you're going to meet tall, dark, and handsome, or win the lottery. Like, there's the door, or the space will show you the door. But people who absolutely have some chemistry imbalances, people are like, is it my depression? Is it my this? Do I need more medication? Because I'm feeling things, I'm seeing things, and I will go out on a limb to say that at least 2/3 of the really amazing readers, the real psychics, the real mediums, do have some, mental imbalance. There are some that have a bipolar 2 or bipolar 1, and they have to be somewhat, definitely on their meds, but they have to be somewhat cognizant of the fact that some of the stuff that is coming through, it's not there are hearing voices. If the radio is telling you to, go and eat kittens who are eating cheese, that's something. But if you're hearing something from grandma or something, it's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, or somebody else's grandma rather. That's something to listen to. So don't medicate yourself to the point that you are numb and not hearing anything. And when I say medicate, I'm not just talking about Prozac or Wellbutrin or whatever. I'm talking about self-medicating, drugs, booze, because a lot of times people who have gifts will I'm not going to hear this anymore, I have been in that space before. It's like, I do not want to hear, we call it having K-Fuck radio playing in your head. It's like, I have to turn that down in one way or the other. So a lot of people grab a drink or grab drugs or something, but you don't have to do that.
I did that for a long time. I was an alcoholic for 20 plus years until one day it was either stop drinking or die. And, when I finally stopped drinking is when it all just opened up. K-Fuck radio, I love it. I'm going to use that because that's 100% how it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
exactly. And
You
that's
just
half
got to
the
put the
battle.
filter on it. You just, turn that treble down and turn that bass up.
And
Yep.
that's the battle of finding the right books and the right teachers and asking the right questions. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are so afraid. And that is why I do this work. I work in the movie business too. I could sit and make movies all day long and make a ton of money and love myself in that career, which is fun and it's a blast. But it's about helping people. It's about taking care of people. It's about people finding their space where they thrive, where they can live freely within the bounds of their world and get rid of all of those stories that they've heard, all of those generational curses that they've heard, all of
Yep.
those things,
Yep.
and stepping into themselves and being in their own light. And my Aboriginals have one of my favorite sayings ever: never turn your face from the sun and you will not see the shadows of the old ways, or the old days for that matter. And so that's kind of my mantra is that's where I come from. Yes, that's a huge story and it's always going to echo. And there might be dust bunnies that rake my nerves once in a while and I got to do some work on it. But going
Yeah.
towards that light.
And don't get us wrong. This work is tough stuff. The last thing I want to do sometimes is, I'll take suicides, for example. Every single suicide that has reached out and trying to get a hold of someone in this life are all saying the same thing. Well, number one, I'm not going to hell and there's no pitchforks coming at me. And number two, that was the most stupid thing someone can ever do. No matter how horrible your life is, how much suffering you're going through,
Yep.
unless it's something where you are literally dying and you're in horrible pain, real like suicides are always really thinking it was a stupid idea. So they always want to come to someone saying, yeah, I screwed up. Sorry about that. But
I mean, don't you think
yep.
that's just such a I mean, growing up Catholic for me.
Yeah.
And Chris being Baptist, I mean, he still believes that people who commit suicide are not crossing over, and we have this theological debate a lot, but it's not true.
Yeah.
They might have a little bit more work to do in spirit review, right?
Yeah.
They might have more
when they
work.
pass over there, when you pass with your spirit guide, your guardian angel, whoever this being is that
Yeah.
you may or may not see or feel in your lifetime, is going to be with you in review. And yet, with the suicide, they're going, you screwed up, young man, young lady. So, yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
One really silly thing that a great story about that, an anecdote. Some people came in to get a reading, and they were very religious growing up, and I knew nothing about that. And I sat down, and I started seeing this vision of heaven, but it was like you would see on a stage with ropes holding up the angels with their wings and stuff like that, like this really campy 1940 something going on. And the spirit was showing me, he's like, he went to that heaven because that's what he thought heaven was, and realizing that there never was a heaven, there never was a hell. It's whatever you want to make it. And I've seen so many of that where these spirits, as they wake up over time, they've already put themselves through their self-punishment. I think that's probably the hell or the purgatory we talk about. Or maybe this planet is, maybe Earth is, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, who's to say that we're not already in our own personal hell or heaven, for that
Or
matter?
we're not in the prison planet.
Exactly, the prison planet, exactly.
Wherever that
nuns
lady.
used to say that this is, Satan's world, and we're basically in hell, but nobody wants to tell you that. But yeah, I
There's
think go ahead.
No, I keep seeing this stuff about fear. April comes up and says, I'm afraid of the evil out there.
Yes, absolutely. Fear is so
Yeah.
important. It is what has kept us alive. It's what has kept your ancestors alive for generations and generations and millennia. But not letting fear run your life, a healthy amount of fear is very
Or even
good.
respect, right? We could call it respect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. It's like someone came in and was asking a reader, it was a bride and her group, bridesmaids, and one of them said, I hope I don't am I going to die during this trip to New Orleans? And she had on heels like this, and she had really
Yes,
heavy.
sir,
She had really heavy jewelries, and she was like, it was a purchase for my wedding. And she was carrying two what we call hand grenades down here. They're really tall drinks. They're pure alcohol. And the reader said, you know, darling, if you go down our sidewalks, which are notorious, wearing those shoes, drinking those drinks, I can't give you any guarantees, but
I mean,
yeah,
really.
a good amount of fear is great, but the hope, the bravado of, you know, being dead and coming back and talking to dead people every day, the message that comes through is use this life. It is short. Yeah, you probably get to do it again and again, but this life is what counts. This is what you're going to remember. Do not get to be whatever age you're going to be, being your last moment going, oh, I wish I would have ...
Right.
Be brave, but have a good, you know, idea of what fear is.
Well, I always try to tell people, like, when you see me in the casket, I want to look like I'm dead, like that. There's like nothing left inside of me. You know, this
You
is
want
how
people to
you
come
should.
up and go, oh Jesus God, no.
Right, like this dude lived. He has nothing left. You know, and that's how people, if they would just start living like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to take anything with me. I'm going to learn, except for the knowledge that I have gained.
Mhm. Well, I think one thing that's interesting I've learned over time with that fear is a lot of people have those big stories that rip and tear the energy in the auric field around them. Those abuses when they were younger, mentally, emotionally, sexually, whatever it was, and they do some work on that stuff. But the thing is that a lot of times can be a shadow story in the past that doesn't want to be looked at, and a lot of times that's when they put that fear mask on it, and it'll be this huge insurmountable thing. And if they do a little work around it, it diffuses.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when I was working with some of my stuff, until I recognized it, it was a dark shadow around me, and that's what all my healers saw. But as I recognized what it was that was haunting me, everybody could tell what that energy was around, and then I had to go through the process of it. And so many times it's much less than what you realize, but we create a whole story behind it. It's got to be a demon. It's got to be a this. No, it doesn't. In all of my years of this, three, maybe four times has there been something that I could quote unquote call demonic. You know,
Right,
and
and
after,
you know, and then you ask, you're like, well, what makes you so special that a demon's coming after you?
exactly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you really worth all that?
I mean,
You're
honestly,
a Bertrill. If you
Right.
can fly and you're a nun, I'm coming after you. But otherwise,
Right.
I have to make a weird point that people come in who have had people who in their life who have passed recently, and through just experience all these, what's it been, 35 years for you? 56 for me. I have found that people who have passed, it's too soon, usually within a perimeter of usually a year, for us to reach out to them because, of course, Hyacinth said, well, they haven't read that Beetlejuice book about the, you know, guide for the dearly, nearly departed. But
Right.
basically that's it. When you die, you they have to get used to the idea and get into the groove, basically, of, you know, reassessing their life and getting their spirit to get to the point to where they can be strong enough and, you know, reach back when we reach out to them, whether it's us or whether it's you going, okay, I miss you. Where are you?
Right.
This is driving me nuts. And then they can come and give you a sign or, you know, a bird, a butterfly, a dragonfly, something.
Yeah. Spirit works with what's around you. So a lot of times you get in the car, that piece of a song comes on, you think about Uncle Jed, you turn your head and you see the cardinal sitting in the tree and you get the chills. And
Right.
that's how it works. It works with the nature around you. And so pay attention to that. the butterflies, the dragonflies, the fireflies. It's all very real. And as much as I didn't want to believe that, it proves itself every time of being real.
And
Yes.
I'm feeling somebody out there is asking about protecting yourself from malevolent energies, negative energies, bad spirits, for lack of a word. Things like salt baths, of course, we talked about wearing things like tourmaline or certain crystal things. Yeah, we call it like all this stuff. You know, the crosses are my grandmother's, and
It's medicine.
Yeah, it's medicine. They call it in a lot of different cultures. So, you know, I would say do things like that to, if nothing else, it will help your brain wrap around, okay, I'm wearing this for protection. So you put your intent out there to any bad energy coming your way. And on plain psychologically speaking, without any of the, you know, occult things around crystals or this or that or silver, it does make you feel better about, you know, okay, I can do this. It's basically buying that little black dress that makes you look good, that you put it on, you feel good, so everyone's going to be attracted to you. Same with negative energy coming toward you when you're like, haha, I've got, you know, obsidian or tourmaline. Come on, hey, devil.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Devil?
Devil?
So, Brandon, I have a question for you.
Oh, God. What?
Did you know that Sam wrote a book?
Oh,
Ah, yes. No, I think we were talking about, you and I were
book.
talking about the book, but
it got a glare. You mean that?
Oh my God, twinsies!
oh wow, I don't have anything.
Oh, we're gonna
Waking
get
the
that.
Dead.
We'll fix that.
Yeah.
The reason I wrote this book, it's 9 client stories in that one premonition dream,
Including the Greece story, right? The Greece story you brought up.
Yeah, the Greece story that I brought up is one
there.
of them. There's another one, a lady. I went to go help her because she was a hoarder, and I went to go help her just move stuff out of her house and clear her house out.
That's the first story. Yep.
It's the first story, and it was a whole paranormal thing of where she had held on to a spirit from when she was 4 years old. And so there's some really crazy stories about how it affected and infected aspects of her world, down to not drinking water without getting sick, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's wonderfully written. It's like having a conversation with Sam. And his next book that we are still working on, it's like, this thing's going to be like this thick if we have to. You know.
I'm going to keep it simple. I wrote it. People don't have attention spans anymore. So I wrote it so it could be read literally in a couple of days. And all of the chapters are a couple pages, big writing, simple. I'm a storyteller, not a writer. It was about people being able to look at their experiences in the world and go, holy shit, that's happened to me a few times.
Yeah. I remember
really.
you had given me a copy. I called you from doctor's appointments and said, I'm sitting here paying to eat hospital food because I can't put your book down, and I'm going to finish it today. But it's a bunch of short stories. And for people who are learning and on their journey and trying to figure stuff out, at the end, you know, the basics is it just makes you understand you're not alone and you're not crazy, right?
Exactly. And that's what I said, is I do this because so many times I thought I was going nuts. These crazy stories came up, the missing person with Adam, all of that stuff. Here I am at 50 sitting in the First Church of Witchcraft in Louisiana, First Church of Witchcraft in the US. That's real magic.
Yep.
My prayer to God as a kid was, if there's real magic in the world, I want to know it. Here I am at 50, sitting in a space, creating it. Yeah. That's how it works.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly how it works.
And it's
manifesting.
Waking the dead, not walking the dead. I get that wrong sometimes. It's like,
that's how I read it.
There's no leash involved. Is that what you're saying?
A lot of people do. Waking the Dead on Amazon, you can get it. A Shamanic Stories of Dream After Death, or get a hold of us at Hands of Fate NOLA.
He'll probably give you a copy, believe me.
I'll get you a copy, man. Yeah, totally. Definitely. I'll throw you one.
Sweet. Well, and
I'm
what
putting
I always
together a kit for him, so we'll put it in there.
Okay.
well, and then what I always say to people, especially if they want to get a book, do not go to Amazon. Amazon does not pay their authors. I've said it numerous times. If you want to get a book, please get it from the author. That way, they receive the funds, and
Yes.
you're more likely to get an autographed copy if you go straight to the source.
And
Yeah.
probably some swag too. I hate promotion. It's not my thing, but it's handsoffatenola.com.
Exactly.
The more you know.
So let's tell everybody where they can find you on your socials or wherever.
Definitely. Literally, through our website, handsoffatenola.com. Let's see. I don't think it's got all the information on there.
Ta-da.
That's the
Oh.
company.
And
Got it.
Hands of Fate. But it's we're at
Yep.
521 St. Philip in the French Quarter. You can Google us, you'll find us as well. You can ask around. There's enough people. We've been here about going into what will be our 5th year coming up. And so really very, for lack of a better word, blessed for the way we're able to help the tourists, the community, and give back. And the goal is make it bigger, make it stronger. Let's have more teachers come through. Let's give people the tools they need for their journey. That's a big thing for me. It's all about tools for the journey. Do you have your tools? What do you need? Is it meditation tools? Is it a book? What is it? And that's trying to help people find those things.
And well, heck, I mean, I was going to say, hey, it's not just
Well,
tourists.
hey.
I will pat this one on the back. I never know who is going to walk into the door. Being from here, and my family's been here since after the French Revolution, it's not glamorous. We just had to get away from those people. It is amazing who walks in the door looking for Samuel, and he, like Jen, are very modest, but a following. And being from here, we're not impressed at all with anybody who is a celebrity or famous or royalty. But it's like, oh, you want to see Sam? Okay. You call it Sam.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I work in the movie business, so I've had some very wild. The weird part was until I've really focused this business into like going and working out of metaphysical shops, I would have the bizarre experiences in the middle of a movie shoot or something happen. And so I literally had to focus myself. And like weekends are for me talking to dead people. During the week is for me playing in the movies.
Right.
Not
That's
so
how it
much
works.
since the
I'll just
strike.
take each other home. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna put that quote up again. That's awesome, Tabitha. We're all just walking each other home.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Listen, it has
Thank you.
been an amazing show.
Thank you.
We're glad to do it anytime.
We will
I was
shoot
gonna
this-
say we're gonna have to have you guys back down the road.
We'll come up with a list of ideas, and then you can pick what we're going to talk about.
Miss Hyacinth's guide to
Listen,
being
I'm
dead.
good with it.
Exactly.
Oh
Thank
my
you so
God.
much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen.
And thank you, Jen.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and
guys.
I'll have you guys just hang out for a second,
Okay.
if you would. But so thank you everybody for tuning in to Shaman Sundays. Join us because we have Jennifer Talley, New Orleans Paranormal for the whole month of October as I am her special guest host. She runs the show. I just push the buttons.
Same here.
That's what happens.
Same
Yeah,
here.
We're in the green room. Thank God.
So join us next Sunday for I don't know who we're gonna have because I didn't put it in my calendar. So, but we'll have somebody. Somebody will be here next Sunday. And as I always say at the end of my shows, and Rick and Sam, hopefully this will mean something to you too. But I always say, it's not about surviving the storm, but it's how you dance in the rain that matters.
Yep.
True.
Thank you guys so much. For everybody that tuned in, thank you guys so much. Please don't forget www.handsoffatenola.com. And please also don't forget New Orleans Paranormal. Go see them. My wife and I, we're going to come down there next year, and we're going to meet everybody in person. So thank you all so much.
We'll be here.
And
Excellent. Thank you.
oh, I love it. And oh God, hey, you guys want to see something funny before we leave? Before we go off?
Of course.
You want to see a funny little video? All right, check this out.
Of course.
I had a viewer make this for me.
My God, I love that. What's that called?
Oh, that's Winklebottom. Kind of a rarity in these parts. Came all the way from Germany.
Boy, that's exactly what I need in my front yard. Would you consider selling? Come on, let's get this in the ground before Hank gets home. Peggy Hill has found her calling card.
Idiot.
Think about it.
That's funny.
Oh my
Yeah. And with that, good night, everybody.
Thank you very much. Be good.